Welcome to the Middlesex Moments radio show. I am Dr. Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, and joining me today is Adam Floridia. Adam is the director of our Learning Center on campus, and he's the person responsible for administering the AccuPlacer exam. I'm going to ask Adam to talk about what happens in our Learning Center and to explain what the AccuPlacer is. And then later in the show, we're going to be talking about the big picture confronting this country, which is the huge numbers, the percentages of college students who come to college unprepared to do the work that we expect them to do. So, Adam, first of all, what happens in the Learning Center here at Middlesex Community College, and what is the AccuPlacer?
First of all, thank you for having me. The Learning Center has two main functions. The first one, as you mentioned, is the AccuPlacer, which is the placement test that community colleges use, at least Connecticut community colleges use, to see what skill level students are entering the school with. The Learning Center's other main function is tutoring. So usually in the off seasons, say summer and winter, we'll be doing all placement testing. Now that all the students are enrolled in classes, they've got what they need. We're over there staffed with tutors to help them succeed in all their classes. Since you asked about the placement test first, and you called it an exam, I called it a test. Actually, both of those are misnomers. I try to steer away from those, even though I call it a test all the time. It's technically an assessment. I hate when students think of it as a test because you can't pass it, you can't fail it. It's strictly a measurement of here's where your reading comprehension ability is, here's where your sentence skills, which is grammar type stuff, here's where that ability is, and here's where your math abilities are. And based on the outcome of those three sections of the test, students are placed into either college level math, college level English, or we have 2 developmental reading classes, 2 developmental writing classes, and 2 developmental math classes. Developmental classes are run the exact same way that a regular class is, taught on campus by a college professor. Developmental just means that students don't get college credit for them because they're technically not college level classes. So hopefully more students place out of those sections and come in as prepared as possible to do the college level English and math and meet the expectations that they need to at college.
But actually, right now at least, we don't see the trend changing very much. The trend has been that more and more need developmental courses, right?
Unfortunately, yeah. I can't speak much to trends because I've only been here a year, but even in that year, the number of students who've placed in developmental has stayed consistent at about 70% to 80%, depending on if it's reading, writing, or math. But still 70 to 80% of students coming in needing to take at least one developmental class. They're paying for it, they're not getting credit for it, I think is kind of scary, actually.
Mm-hmm. And the reading and the math, the English and the math, those are really the skills that students need to unlock the disciplines. So if you want to go somewhere in physics, you need the basic math. If you want to go somewhere in history or sociology, or even in math, you need to be able to read well, to write well.
Exactly. So while we only are testing for the basic English and math, it's if you aren't in English 101 or you aren't in a Math 137, which are the first of the college levels, a lot of other doors are going to be closed for you. Most other classes have either English and or math as a prerequisite. We do have a handful of classes that are geared towards students that have no prerequisites, so that students who are taking developmental classes can earn some credits, but there aren't a whole lot.
Right, that makes sense to me. Well, we'll be right back after this break to talk about the big picture here in the United States with students entering college unprepared to do the work. Welcome back. With me today is Adam Floridia. He's the director of the Learning Center here at Middlesex Community College, and we've been talking a little bit about the percentages of our students who come to college unprepared to do college-level work. This is a huge problem. It's certainly not something that is exclusive to the school here in Middletown, Connecticut, or our branch campus in Meriden. I've just come here from Minnesota, and we were dealing with this quite a lot in the system there, and I know that it's a national issue. At the same time, we have a lot of outside interest in community colleges coming partially from the Obama administration, but certainly the legislators in our states who are helping to fund two-year community colleges. And that pressure is saying to us, we want to see students finish what they start. We want to see students complete their degrees at two-year schools. Adam is in this really interesting role, I think, of being the interface between this mass of students who do need help from tutors, and from, I would think, academic advising, and then helping them gradually make their way into the mainstream of the college curriculum, where my guess is they would continue to need help from tutors. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, actually I was looking at the numbers the other day, and I was looking at our numbers for the spring semester. It was roughly 50% of the students who came in for tutoring last semester for math. 50% were developmental, 50% were college level math. And English, I want to say it was about 60-40. 60% were taking college level classes, and the other 40 were developmental classes, which really speaks to the fact that I hate when students think of tutoring as tutoring is only for people who are dumb or who can't do something, or you wait till you're failing. If you wait till you're failing to ask for help, it's going to be too late. A lot of the students who come in are extremely successful in the college level courses. Their students are getting straight A's because they know how to ask for help when they need it, which is great.
Right. So that tells me to some degree that academic advising or counselors or concerned instructors can be, and parents and family and friends, peers at school, can be very helpful in making sure that people get the resources we have.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is just knowing what resources are available. So I feel bad I already have probably harassed the faculty many times, sending out the tutoring hours for the fall, saying, hey, would you mind announcing this in the class or even putting this in a syllabus? I've been trying to go around to different classes, anyone who will have me in, and give my quick little 5-minute sales pitch for the Learning Center that, if nothing else, it's just to say, hey, students, we exist. Here's our hours. Come down and use us. It's a free service. We're here for you. We also have an online tutoring service that the college pays a significant amount of money for, and it's, at least from the year I've been here, I've seen it woefully underutilized. And I think, again, it's just getting the word out and having students know that, oh, it's 11 o'clock at night, I need help with a paper, I can't go in for tutoring, but, well, there is this other option. It might not be immediate, but there are other options, and there's a lot of ways that they can get help out there, and a lot of people willing to help them.
So you must have a resource page on, or you were telling me earlier that you have listed the Khan Academy. Could you talk a little bit about that site and what that can do for anybody, for students in high school as well as in college, right?
Sure, yeah. I have the College Learning Center site set up, and it's got all our tutoring hours on it and everything. And then on the side, I've got a list of subject-specific study links for various subjects. The best one by far, at least my favorite, and the one that's gotten the best feedback from students who've used it, is Khan Academy. I think it's Khan. And it's nothing through us. It's just a link I have to their website. And the math is fantastic. They have other subjects as well, but the way the math works is you can be having trouble in pretty much any level of math, and you click on that level. So I'm having trouble in college level algebra, and it will come up with a list of a whole bunch of every topic you could imagine, college level algebra. So say I don't remember how to do the quadratic equation. My professor went over that, I didn't understand. I find quadratic equation under the algebra section, click on it, and it gives me this little YouTube video of a virtual blackboard. And you see every little mark that the person is making on the blackboard, and someone's voice is walking you through it. So it really is, I'd say it's the next best thing to a lecture with a college professor. The only downside is you can't ask questions because it's the computer. Unlike a lecture, though, you can go back and rewind it as many times as you want, and it really walks a student through step by step, both verbally and visually with the YouTube video. So I think that's a great tool for students to use for help with math. And then there are other ones out there for other subjects. Khan Academy does have, they have a humanities one, they have a science one. Those ones I think are not as user-friendly. I don't want to say user-friendly. They're not as easy as math just because of the way math lends itself to that type of tutoring. It's here, step 1, step 2, step 3. You can walk you through it, whereas other subjects don't lend themselves as well to that.
So you've had a lot of experience teaching because you were a high school instructor, right? So what did you teach, and what did you learn from teaching that you use every day here at Middlesex?
Oh, good question. I was a high school teacher for the last 6 years before I came here. I had always wanted to be a teacher in college. I actually thought I wanted to do elementary ed, and then I fell in love with English and thought, I want to be able to have these great literary discussions. I love these books. I want to talk to my students about them, and I figured that wouldn't happen at the elementary level. So I got my degree in secondary ed and started teaching high school at Plainville High School, and should have realized that high school students aren't necessarily as eager to come in and talk about literature as maybe I would have been. So I think that was a little bit of a wake-up. And I really liked a lot of the students. I had a very good time there. About 3 years into teaching high school, I started teaching here as well, just adjuncting 1 or 2 night courses each semester. And I've got to say that's what sold me on coming to community college, coming specifically to Middlesex, was the difference in high school versus college. In high school, students are forced to be there. Everyone's got to go. As much as I liked a lot of the students and had a lot of really hardworking students, I had an equal number probably who just were completely apathetic. That's what I learned more in high school than anything, is that so many students just didn't care. They didn't take their studies seriously. They were content to give back a paper and 60. Yeah, that's a D-. That's pretty bad. 60. Wait, that's passing, right? Yay! And it's that contentment to just sit and kind of squeak by. And I really think that's why we're seeing such an influx of students coming into developmental classes here, because if you're passing all your subjects in high school with a D-, and you're in the lower level classes anyway, you're not going to be ready for college work. And I think the best thing we can do is get into some of the high schools and let students know the consequences of that and say, well, do you plan on going to college? Yes. Well, do you know what you have to do? You actually have to take the SATs or ACTs. Or for community college, you don't. And you'll get in as long as you do an application and pay the application fee. However, if you can't do college level work, you're going to be paying for classes. They're not for credit. So why don't you avail yourself of the free education you're getting now and come in, learn as much as you can, and come in prepared, save yourself time, save yourself money, and benefit yourself in the long run.
I always find it so interesting when I hear teachers at high schools especially say that about the students who are just not engaged. I mean, they're just kind of passing their time in high school. I saw this film once, I don't know, maybe you've seen it. It's called 2 Million Minutes. It's an incredibly interesting documentary. It's done by a guy named Bob Compton. And he looked at 2 American students, male and female, in the Midwest, and 2 in China and 2 in India. And 2 million minutes is the number of minutes that you spend in high school.
Oh, wow.
Right, which, it seems like a lot,
yeah.
But they go by very quickly, as we all know. It was a remarkable movie because you see the huge cultural differences between the way Americans approach high school education and then the ones in India and the ones in China. In China, I would just, in huge sweeping terms, I would say that first of all, the family is completely involved, and the student's goal is to be the best in the world at whatever they choose to be. If they want to be a cellist or a nuclear physicist or whatever it is, they have to be the best in the world. In India, families very involved. The students are really focused on primarily engineering, but science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM fields we talk about. And that's where they have to go. They already know that, so that career path is figured out. In the United States, we want our students to be well-rounded, to be happy, to be socially involved, to play athletics, to know how to have a good time, and to graduate from high school. But we've eclipsed some of that concern about preparing for the rest of their lives and preparing, in our case, to go to college and succeed. So these are huge global issues because obviously if the American students aren't coming in as great a number to college ready to succeed in college, other countries and other economies could very quickly take over the position we've had in the world economy. And on that note,
especially with a global market now.
Exactly. So on that note, we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back after this brief message to take up the major questions of the world. Welcome back. With me today is Adam Floridia, who's the director of the Learning Center here at Middlesex Community College. And we've been talking about what goes on here at the community college that helps both the students who come to school underprepared for college and the students who are high achievers who know that to reach out and get the help that they can use can be very, very successful in college. I mean, that's, I think, what we're all trying to do, is we're trying to create an environment where every student can be successful.
Yeah. So I think that's our mission statement, right. Our little motto is student success.
That's right. But in the meantime, we do have these national trends and international concerns about the preparation of our students coming out of the secondary school system. I want to go back to Bob Compton for a moment. He's the person who directed 2 Million Minutes. He said, first of all, something I think we'd all agree with, which is the majority of the good-paying jobs will require more technical knowledge and more cognitive skill than in the 20th century. So we've moved into a new age, right? This is the knowledge age, the innovation economy, those sorts of ideas. And then he says, and this is so important, high school students who have taken 4 years of math, plus physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, English literature and grammar, world history, and 4 years of a foreign language, preferably Spanish or Mandarin Chinese, will keep the most occupational options open, particularly for the high-paying careers. Additional electives and extracurricular activities are recommended. How does that sound as a high school program?
That sounds excellent. I actually am shocked that a lot of high schools don't require 4 years of math, that they only require 3. I think everyone should have 4 years. I like what you said about keeping the doors open, too. I would tell so many students, well, they knew what they wanted. They're in 9th grade. They know what they want to do, so they don't need math or they don't need English. As certain as you might be what you think your career is going to be when you're 15, 16 years old, why shut those doors? Keep everything open as an option, because sometimes once those doors are shut, it's going to be a lot more difficult to open it back up in the future. So if you're not thinking about going to college and you're in 9th grade, well, still take the steps that will leave that option open to you so you don't regret it later.
Or, have to take these developmental courses, which, can you explain? I know you said once before that you have to pay for these college courses. You earn credits, but those credits don't count toward a college degree. You get a grade in those courses.
Yep.
You can borrow federal financial aid monies, I think, to take.
I think so,
yes,
yeah.
That's right. But then you're not getting anywhere. It's sort of like you're in a wheel and you're spinning until you can actually get into those college level courses. What happens to the student for whom that's the experience, that they have to spend a semester or 2 in developmental courses? What do you see when you look them in the eyes day after day here at the college? Can you even characterize those students?
No, they're no different than anyone else. I mean, it's not that, wow, if you placed into a developmental class, that means you're really bad at something, or you're not motivated, or you're a terrible person. It's so many students place into them. It's, if I took the placement test right now, I would probably place into a developmental math class. I haven't done math, aside from day-to-day math, in probably 10 years. If I took the time to spend even 2 weeks reviewing some of the stuff that I learned, I would do a lot better. So it could be just not being prepared at the time, or if I were someone who math was never a strong subject for me, then I would need that developmental class. We shouldn't do away with them because, and not that was even an option, but a lot of students need those, and they are really successful as they work their way up. I'm sure if you actually looked at the numbers, though, for this number of students who graduate within, I think it's even within 4 years, even though technically we're a 2-year school, within 4 years who come out of developmental classes, those numbers are significantly lower than the ones who start at college level. So I think the thing is, ideally you don't place into a developmental class, and if you do, it means that that's the right level for you at that time. It's for you to get the base set of skills that you need to be successful as you move up, to reinforce all those skills, and once you do that, to keep moving up. I think that maybe some students, when they do place, and I see this from administering the placement test, when I give them the result and say, okay, well, you're going to take 2 English classes and 1 math class that are developmental, they don't count for credit, students are shocked, because most people have a higher perception of what they think their abilities are than what the results of the assessment show. So I have been really trying to, in this past testing cycle, get students to go online and take sample tests. I know that no test is accurate. It can't measure the way 100% your writing strengths from a 22-question multiple choice test. But that's what we use, and that does give an indicator. So I think if students go in, the more prepared they are, the better they'll do, and they should know that if they do place into the developmental classes, it's going to be the skills like hard work, motivation, that's going to make them stick with it, get the skills they need, and then continue to work their way up.
Do you give students advice about how many hours, maybe it's too simplistic, but how many hours you would spend outside of a class for a 3-credit course? What would be the expectation?
I think I've heard, and this is at least what I'm teaching English 101 this semester, and I told my students for every 1 hour in the classroom, you should count on 2 to 3 hours of homework outside the classroom. Most classes meet twice a week for about an hour and a half, so 3 hours, you're looking at between 6 and 9 hours. And the 9 hours is accurate, too. It's not just something teachers say to say, oh, well, you're probably going to have this much homework, and then you don't. You really will. Like for my class, they will spend 6 to 9 hours outside of class reading. If they choose not to do it, they will not be very successful. And I think that's one of the toughest things for a lot of students is just that time management. Some students take on too much more than they can handle here and take too many classes and don't plan on that outside of classroom work. And a lot of students say, well, I was able to get through high school without doing any homework. Yeah, that's part of the problem. That won't fly here. So now you've got to kind of adjust your mindset and realize, nope, this is college. Things are different. Not only do you have to do the work, you'll be held accountable for the work. You won't just get passed along. And once you realize that, you can start to hopefully manage your time and brush up on those study skills.
How do you teach people to study?
Excellent question. I actually have tried to make that one of the main areas of focus for the Learning Center this year with all my tutors. Okay, you're tutoring English, you're tutoring math, but all of you are tutoring study skills. And so much of that is on an individual basis. So if a student comes in and they have a question on something, find out what the problem is. Did the student look at the syllabus? Does the student have the assignment? Did the student even bring the textbook with them? Is the student taking good notes in lecture? So you can do it on an individual basis. And then I've got a bunch of checklists over there for quick study skills checklists. I mean, simple things like keeping a daily planner, keeping a weekly planner, organizing your things, study skills like don't study in front of the TV. Find a quiet place. Actually, you shouldn't study in your bedroom either because you'll fall asleep. Plan on studying at the same time every night so that it becomes a habit. So I know from 7 to 9, that's my time to do math homework. Maybe not at 9 o'clock though, because that's too late and I'm going to get tired. So there really are a lot of subtle things that I think people don't even think of, and a lot of people probably just take for granted. But if you know you're not the best at studying, there are a lot of little tips and techniques that can make it probably easier for you and more successful.
It does seem like it's a huge transition. We know this from being a high school student to being a college student. And one of them is the locus of control. Because in high school, as you said earlier, it's compulsory. You have to be there. Mm-hmm. And suddenly in college, you can sign up for these classes. You can go, you can miss. Mm-hmm. You can decide to study that night, or you can decide I really don't need to do anything until the midterm. But it is really kind of where is the center of control, and how do we teach students that they really are the masters of their time?
That is an excellent point. I think I just put up a new banner in the Learning Center that says our goal is your independence. That's one of the hardest transitions for students is it's up to you now. There's no guidance counselors holding your hands. Mommy and daddy can't call and have special arrangements made or anything. It's up to you. Why are you taking classes? You don't have to. You don't have to be here. You're here because you want to be on some level. So make the most of it. It's your money. It's your time. You take control and do well in your classes. You choose to study or not. You choose how successful you're going to be. And there are resources to help you if you come and take advantage of them. And if you don't, then that's your decision.
So we were going to talk a little bit about one of the kind of cultural differences between the Asian countries that are now emerging as the world economic powers, China and India, and the cultural norms in our own country. I think one of those is the idea that we want to produce well-rounded individuals who are capable of, well, as Sigmund Freud said, the definition of mental health is to be able to love and to work. So we want them to be able to work, but we want them to love as well, and that can be anything from being happy to forming strong bonds with other human beings, feeling compassionate, mm-hmm. having a sense of empathy. And yet those are really often, we don't really put that into the curriculum as a course, but that's the desired outcome. So how do we, and I think your Learning Center is one of the ways, but I want you to kind of reflect on how best can we do that in a college setting? How can we help students learn to love and to work?
I think a lot of that comes up from the professor. I think we would lead by example. So I love teaching English. And I hope that passion is contagious in my classroom. And I know students aren't always going to leave with the same excitement that I have, but I always know when I walk into the English classroom, I'm thrilled to be there. And I know that realistically most of the students probably aren't. So if I don't come in with 100% enthusiasm, because I'm the guy who actually wants to be there, I can't expect them to. So I've got to put in as much effort as the professor and hope that they get interested. And if they don't. Not everyone likes every subject, but that's where I think a lot of it goes back to they need to reflect and say, well, why am I here? What am I doing? And even if this is a boring subject for me, I'm going to make the most of it. Because in order to end up bridging that gap between having a good career and still being happy is you're going to have to find something that you enjoy doing. And to do that, you will have to maybe sometimes overcome obstacles that you wish weren't there, but if the goal is to be successful and happy, you've got to find a career you love, and education is the way to do that.
It's been really wonderful having this time to talk with you today about these really important issues and about Middlesex Community College, where I think people will find, if they come here as students or as family members and friends of students, a caring community of instructors who really do want to inspire their students to have full and happy lives and be able to contribute to to the common good. So thank you so much, Adam.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This has been the Middlesex Moments Show, and I've been visiting with Adam Floridia, the director of our Learning Center. Please take a moment to visit our website at mxcc.comnet, COMMNET.edu. That's mxcc.comnet.edu. I'm Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, wishing you a good day.